Imagine walking into a restaurant on a normal evening. You see two people sitting at two different tables. The first person is wearing designer clothes, an expensive watch, and luxury shoes. Their phone is the newest model, and their car outside is a shiny luxury vehicle. The second person looks completely different. They are wearing a simple hoodie and old sneakers. Their car outside is 10 years old, and nothing about them looks impressive. Most people would immediately assume the first person is rich, but statistics suggest something surprising. The second person is actually more likely to be wealthy.
This sounds strange at first, because our brains are trained to associate expensive things with success. But real wealth and visible wealth are two completely different things. Many of the richest people in the world intentionally avoid looking rich. Take Warren Buffett as an example. He is one of the richest individuals on the planet, yet he still lives in the same house he bought decades ago. Another example is Mark Zuckerberg. He is worth tens of billions of dollars, yet he is often seen wearing a simple gray t-shirt and jeans. Even Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck almost every day. These people could easily live the most extravagant lifestyles imaginable, but they often choose not to display wealth in obvious ways. The reason for this is deeply connected to psychology and strategy. Looking rich and becoming rich require completely different habits. People who try to look rich often make financial decisions that slow down their ability to build wealth. People who focus on building wealth often ignore the pressure to look successful.
And over time, that difference becomes enormous. Most people believe money problems happen because people do not earn enough income, but in many cases, the real problem is spending habits. When someone receives their first good paycheck, something predictable happens. They begin upgrading their lifestyle. They buy nicer clothes. They upgrade their phone. They start driving a more expensive car. They eat at better restaurants. They take more expensive vacations. Slowly, their spending rises to match their income. This pattern is called lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation quietly destroys wealth building for millions of people because every dollar spent on appearance is a dollar that cannot be invested. And investing is what creates long-term financial freedom. When people spend money to look successful, they often delay investing for years,
Sometimes even decades. Meanwhile, someone else might live a simple life and invest consistently. At first, that simple lifestyle may look unimpressive, but time turns those small investments into something powerful. This happens because of compounding. Compounding means money begins generating more money over time. The longer money stays invested, the more powerful compounding becomes. A person who invests early gains a massive advantage, but people chasing luxury often those prone to investing. They prioritize appearance over long-term growth, and that decision can cost them millions over a lifetime. Researchers have studied this behavior in great detail. One of the most famous studies came from the book The Millionaire Next Door. The research was conducted by Thomas J. Stanley. He studied thousands of millionaires across the United States. The results surprised almost everyone.
Most millionaires did not live in luxury neighborhoods. Most of them did not drive expensive sports cars. Many of them owned practical vehicles that were several years old. Their clothes were simple and often unbranded. From the outside, they looked completely ordinary, but behind the scenes, they had something powerful. They had assets. Assets generate income and increase in value over time. This is the real foundation of wealth. But assets are invisible to most people. A stock portfolio does not attract attention. A retirement account does not impress strangers. Real estate investments are rarely displayed on social media. So many wealthy individuals quietly accumulate assets without drawing attention. Meanwhile, others accumulate luxury items instead. Luxury items usually lose value over time. Cars depreciate quickly. Designer clothes go out of style. Electronics become outdated within a few years. But investments often grow for decades. This difference between assets and expenses determines financial futures.
Another hidden advantage of looking ordinary is freedom from expectations. When people believe you are wealthy, they often expect certain behaviors. They expect expensive gifts. They expect expensive dinners. They expect a certain lifestyle. Maintaining that image can become exhausting. It creates social pressure to keep spending. But when you appear ordinary, those expectations disappear. You gain the freedom to make decisions based on logic rather than social pressure. You can focus on saving and investing without constant judgment. You can quietly build financial security. Another advantage is psychological clarity. When people stop trying to impress others, they often become more focused.
Energy that once went into appearances can now go into learning and growth. They start studying business. They learn about investing. They develop valuable skills. Over time, those skills generate opportunities. Opportunities generate income. Income generates investments. Investments generate wealth. This cycle becomes incredibly powerful, but it usually begins with simple habits. Living below your means is one of those habits. Living below your means does not mean living miserably. It simply means spending less than you earn. The gap between income and spending becomes the seed of wealth. That gap can be invested, and those investments grow over time. Another advantage of avoiding flashy lifestyles is reduced financial stress. People with high expenses must constantly maintain high income. Losing a job or facing a financial emergency can become devastating. But people with lower expenses have more breathing room. They have flexibility.
They have time to adapt to change. This flexibility is a form of financial security. Financial security creates confidence. Confidence allows people to take better long-term risks. They may start businesses, they may invest in new opportunities, they may pursue careers they actually enjoy. Ironically, the people who appear modest often have the most freedom. Meanwhile, people chasing luxury often feel trapped by their expenses. Another important factor is attention. Looking rich attracts attention, sometimes positive attention, sometimes negative attention, but attention always comes with pressure. People begin comparing themselves constantly. They feel the need to upgrade again and again. This endless cycle is called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill means satisfaction from purchases fades quickly. A new car feels exciting for a short time, then it becomes normal. Soon, another upgrade feels necessary.
This cycle keeps people spending without ever feeling satisfied. But when someone stops chasing status symbols, something changes. They begin focusing on meaningful goals instead. Financial independence becomes one of those goals. Financial independence means your investments generate enough income to support your lifestyle. At that point, work becomes optional. Time becomes your most valuable asset. You can spend more time with family. You can pursue creative projects. You can travel. You can design life around your values. This level of freedom rarely comes from flashy spending. It comes from disciplined investing and patience.
The world often celebrates visible success, but invisible success is usually more powerful. Invisible success grows quietly for years. Then one day the results become undeniable. The person who looked ordinary suddenly has financial freedom. They can retire early. They can start passion projects. They can help others without worrying about money. And the most interesting part is that many of them still choose to live simply because simplicity protects the wealth they built. Looking poor is not about pretending. It is about refusing to participate in unnecessary status competition. It is about focusing on what truly matters. It is about building a life that prioritizes freedom over appearance. In a world obsessed with looking successful, this approach can feel unusual, but history shows that it works. The quiet path to wealth is rarely glamorous. It involves patience. It involves discipline. It involves ignoring social pressure. But those who follow that path often achieve something extraordinary. They gain control over their time and their future. And in the end, that freedom is far more valuable than any luxury item because real wealth is not about what people see. Real wealth is about the choices you have. And the most powerful choice of all is the freedom to live life on your own terms.